Hi, I'm Travis Boles, and today I'd like to show you how I did the prop lightsabers for 3 in the afternoon with no money and really no resources except for a Home Depot and the toys that you buy at Toys R Us. We made 3 in the afternoon in late 2004, which was right after Clones came out, if I remember correctly. And so the only lightsabers in the stores were the Clones lightsabers, which only featured motion-activated sounds. This was before the ones that vibrate that came out with the third movie and the new ones that spring out, which I actually kind of want to buy. But the old ones are what we're looking for because the battery chamber down the middle has enough room for the coupling that we're going to put in to hold our prop blade. We don't want anything that vibrates or springs out or anything. The hilts are too big. There's too much going on in the guts inside there. The whole point is that we use the chamber for the D batteries to put our prop pieces to make a sturdy prop blade for fighting. Now, when we made 3 in the afternoon, I didn't have any money. I had a little bit of money, and we spent about $100 on saber props because I had to get them for 6 people. But I knew that in my movie only 2 people were going to fight, and myself and the 3 girls were really only going to have blades that were, or lightsabers that were mostly just for show. They weren't going to be fought with. But Corey and Pruitt's lightsaber I knew were going to get a lot of wear and tear. And so I had to build a sturdy system inside the lightsaber itself so that they could fight without their hands shaking all over the place, and I had to do it for cheap because I had no money. And so I know a lot of you are making movies out there, and so if you want to do it for super cheap, then here's what we're looking at. You're going to need about $20 for a lightsaber, and you're going to need another 10 or 15 for just some stuff out of the plumbing department of your Home Depot or your Lowe's, whatever hardware store you have nearby. Oh, and now, like I said, the Clones ones are different than the new ones they've put out. And a lot of the ones that were available during the Clones era, like the Obi-Wan one that we used for Pruitt's lightsaber, I think are discontinued. I haven't seen them in stores lately. What I have seen in stores lately is what I'm holding, the Mace Windu one, and then I found a normal Darth Vader one. And they don't vibrate, they don't snap, they don't do anything, and that's what we want. And I haven't seen the Obi-Wan one, but I have a theory. If you Google the lightsabers, if you Google lightsaber props, you'll eventually find the ones that are just for Halloween costumes. And they sell them, they don't sell them in Toys R Us, they're specific for Halloween costumes, and I believe they do light up, and I believe that you would be able to find, if I had to buy another Obi-Wan one, then I would look to the Halloween costume sabers, because the ones, the new Obi-Wan ones, they vibrate, I think. I'm going to show you what you get out of the box, because there's really only one thing you need to do to the actual lightsaber itself before you get to work and travel to Lowe's. You got to unscrew it out. Battery compartment's empty. I'm going to put the hilt aside. So you're going to unscrew the light bulb, throw it away. It's useless. We don't need it. So now you've got just this part. You're going to go down, pull this off, hang on to this. Now, your blade is not completely useless because you're going to want to hang on to this plastic cap that's at the end. Now, it's going to take a little bit of doing. I believe when we did 3, I got a hair dryer, heated this up, loosened the glue, and then you're going to want to cut a hole in this plastic cap. You have a Dremel tool. Be careful. If you're young, ask your parents for help. And you're going to want to cut a hole right here, because what this cap is going to do is keep the guts of your prop blade tightly in place once the whole lightsaber comes together after we've taken our PVC couplings and put everything in there. This cap is going to be the last thing that holds everything tight together, and you'll have a rock solid prop hilt. All right, now this is my lightsaber from 3 in the afternoon here, and so here is the cap that I used all through the movie, and as you can see, it's a little banged up. It's got some bits missing, but you want to hang on to this piece. So you've got your lightsaber all in pieces. You've got your cap separated. You've got it all ready. Okay, so go to Lowe's and bring your lightsaber with you. First item you're looking for is this is, I believe it's a 1-inch coupling, 1 inch around. And this one is steel. Now I bought steel ones for Corey and Pruitt, because I knew that they were going to be fighting with their lightsabers and they would need something heavy in the hilt to keep their hands from shaking all over the place, because I noticed when I bought plastic ones the first time that it was light and my hands shook when I smacked the lightsaber against things. So we don't want that. We need something heavy. So I used steel. So you're going to buy a 1-inch steel, and you're going to want to make sure, so while you take your lightsaber with you, you're going to want to make sure that that fits down tightly into the battery chamber of your lightsaber. And it should go all the way down in there. It's about exactly the length of this chamber. And you can buy plastic ones. The other thing you're going to want to pick up is a 1-inch coupling that looks like this. You're looking for the kind with the rubber ring on the inside. It attaches to the 1-inch on the one end and then collapses down to a 3/4 or a half. Okay? And so what this does is that rubber ring is going to be one of the things that holds your prop blade in place inside. So you're going to screw that on. You're going to have something that looks like this, and this is going to drop right down into your lightsaber, okay? And that's going to click in hard. It freaked me out when I found this, how well this works. And when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or your local hardware store, be sure to bring your lightsaber with you, because you'll know when it clicks down. Oh my God. You'll know when it clicks down hard into the chamber, because it's sitting down onto the bottom spring that's holding, that would hold the D batteries in place. So let's talk about blades. You've got your coupling that fits into your lightsaber. You've got your lightsaber in pieces. What are you going to use for your blades? Ryan Weber, for Ryan vs. Dorkman, he uses, at first I believe they started with aluminum tubes, and then they graduated for RVD2 to carbon fiber tubing. Now, I don't have carbon fiber tubing, and if you were to make a movie, and if I ever did another lightsaber movie, I would use the carbon fiber. We shot RVD2 with 2 blades for each of them, and they never broke because the carbon fiber doesn't break. The aluminum bends and breaks. I've never used the aluminum. What I had to use was CPVC pipe. Looks like this. It's not green. It's actually more like this color, and what you want is the 1/2 inch. Now, problem with CPVC is that it bends, and you're going to get some wicked bend. One of the ways that I fought the bend is to cut them a little shorter than a normal lightsaber. Usually you cut your blade 3.5 feet. I took them down a little bit because the shorter they are, the less bend you're going to have. Now, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and so I couldn't get carbon fiber tubing or aluminum tubing like Ryan Weber, and so we had to go with the cheaper alternative, which was the CPVC. The problem is CPVC's got a wicked bend to it, which can get you in trouble in post in your rotoing, and also it's not very strong and it breaks. So a couple of ways to fight this, if you do have to use CPVC tubing, is use tape. On RVD2, they made their prop blades a bright color by taking brightly colored gaffer's tape, which you can buy easily on the internet if you can't buy it in your area. I think you even can, like at Lowe's and Home Depot, they sell like neon green tape. And you pull the tape lengthwise and seal it across the blade like that. And when you use tape, you don't get what I got when I spray painted my blades, which is chipped paint everywhere. And all those little paint chips, they end up in the trunk of your car and all over your room and all over your set, and it sucks. So go with the tape. Now, how do we keep our prop blade inside our prop hilt? You'll remember the rubber ring inside the collapsing coupling that we have attached to the end of our steel coupling. This rubber ring is going to hold tightly against a loop of electrical tape or some sort of tape that we've looped up real tight right around the area of the blade that will hit the rubber ring, but also not go so far down the lightsaber tube so as to go further past the spring that's on the bottom of the actual lightsaber itself, here at the bottom. We want it to fit perfectly, and it's going to take some trial and error because you're looking for room in the blade like that. See? That's not coming out anywhere because that tape is so strong and that rubber is sitting right up on top of it. So these two aren't going anywhere no matter how hard you swing your lightsabers. You got to make sure you got a big fat tape loop on there and give it hell. Pull on it for a little bit, make sure it's tight in there. You're only going to have a little bit sticking out of the bottom of this because what you're looking for, and like I said, it's going to take some trial and error. What you're looking for is to get it perfectly flush down in there so you can, there you go, you hear that snap. You're looking to hear that snap because that's that 1/2 inch sitting right down on top of the spring at the bottom of this lightsaber hilt. Like that. Last touch is we're going to get that plastic cap that we hung on to from the blade that came with it. Let that sit right down, and that's going to sit right there on top of the collapsed part of this coupling. At that point, all you got to do, take the rest of your lightsaber, lay it down, screw that bad boy on, and you can feel it get real tight on there. That's that cap sitting on the coupling attached to the steel, which has the bottom of that CPVC being pushed up to where that tape and that rubber meet, and that's a tight fit, and that's not going anywhere. And you can really smack the hell out of it. Now I got to point this out. Once you've done this to your lightsaber, it really stops being a toy. You can't run around smacking your friends with it. And so it's not a toy anymore. It's become a movie prop, basically. But let's say you've got, like I did, people in your movie who aren't going to be fighting with the lightsabers. And at that point, I just went out and got the $7 Walmart off-the-rack junk lightsabers where you push the big fat red button down and they shoot out when you flick your wrist. And I just pulled the tube out and I hacksawed them down and I just gutted them. I drilled holes in the side of them, and they were great show lightsabers. You know, and of course, I covered my ass in the movie by saying, you know, they look just like the toys, which is part of the point of the movie. And some people say, you know, they watch 3 and they go, the hilts are too big. The hilts are too big. Well, you know, that's kind of the point, is they're toys. And if you look at the LucasArts toys in Walmart, yeah, look at that. The hilt's too big. But that's the point. So, you're going to make a movie with lightsabers in it. You don't have any money. You shouldn't have to spend any money because you're not going to make any money. So, if that's the case, do what I do. Take about $10 and fit the inside, replace the batteries on the inside of these with a sturdy enough configuration of PVC pipe that will keep the blade intact, because if you're going to be on set, you're fighting, you're swinging these things around, the last thing you want is one of these flying out, smacking somebody in the eye. And so a sturdy prop is extremely important. And if you don't have the luxury, like I didn't, of building your own props, you're going to have to go buy them and you're going to have to solve your own problems. Remember, you can either point the money hose at it or you can use your own creativity. And that's what I did here. And so now you know, and knowing is half the battle. And be safe.